Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to have you with us for another edition of Let's Read Together through the Gospel of John. Today we'll be reading chapter 13, verses 1 through 20. This is pre-recorded today. I'm having a dishwasher delivered, a new one. My old one still mostly worked, but I couldn't get any new parts for it. So the heating element went out, and it was pretty old, but I was told that things were out of stock and had been for a long time, and they weren't sure when they were ever going to get it back. And so I thought, well, I guess that means I'm getting a new dishwasher? Anyway, so that's being delivered today, and it's being delivered right when I'm supposed to be doing this. So I thought I would pre-record today. We'll let you watch it, and then I'll pick it up with you tomorrow live. Today we're going to see that we're transported to Maundy, Thursday evening, and Jesus is sitting down with his disciples to eat the Passover meal. And that's really the bulk of the rest of John here. Deals with the things that Jesus had to say at the supper, and then, of course, what happens later as he is put on trial and crucified, and then rises again, of course, to the end of the book. But so the context for today's reading is we're already in the upper room on Maundy Thursday. They're eating the Passover meal, and Jesus has a lot to say to his disciples here. Let's read. I'm just reading from my own personal Bible, like always, and chapter 13, verses 1 to 20. It was just before the Passover feast. Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he now showed them the full extent of his love. The evening meal was being served, and the devil had already prompted Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." Then Lord Simon Peter replied, "Not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "A person who has a bath needs only to wash his feet. His whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said, "Not every one was clean." When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. I tell you the truth, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. I am not referring to all of you. I know those I have chosen, but this is to fulfill the scriptures. He who shares my bread has lifted up his heel against me. I am telling you now before it happens, so that when it does happen, you will believe that I am he. I tell you the truth, whoever accepts anyone I send accepts me, and whoever accepts me accepts the one who sent me." This is our reading for today. The bulk of our reading deals with Jesus washing his disciples' feet. I don't know if we have a parallel in our society. Of course, in modern America, we shower regularly, maybe oftentimes daily, right? So we're always washing our whole body, not just our feet. But of course, in the ancient world and in Jesus' day, they didn't have plumbing that allowed them to shower on a daily basis or even bathe on a daily basis. And on top of that, they had Well, their roads weren't concrete or asphalt. They were dirt or stone. And so this meant that as they traveled, their whole body might not get dirty because they wore long clothes that protected them from the sun. But as they walked along, their feet and their lower legs would most definitely get dirty. They'd get covered by dust. And if they were on the road for several days, they could have quite a collection of dust on their feet. And the last thing that you would want as a homeowner, I would guess, is for someone to track all of that into your house. That was part of it, of course. But the other part is that, I don't know if you've had that experience, but you know, when you get something on your hands, you get something on there and it bugs you until you get it off. I gotta think it had to have felt that way on those feet. So there was a tradition, a cultural tradition, that when someone entered into your house, one of the things that you would do as a courtesy, besides offering them food and drink, was to wash their feet. But the owner of the house didn't do that job. That was the job that was reserved for the least important servant. When you were on the bottom of the totem pole, then that was the job that you got. And we can understand why. Feet aren't exactly the prettiest thing, and dirty feet are certainly no fun at all. And this was what this person was being asked to wash for all the people who came into the house. So now we see Jesus taking a time to wash his disciples' feet. And you see that the Apostle Peter objects, right? Because when he looks at Jesus, he sees someone who doesn't deserve to be doing the job of the lowest person. He sees his Lord and his Master, and he says, Jesus, this isn't the right job for you. This should be a job for someone else. But Jesus' point, well, Jesus makes his point, right? He says, I'm doing this for you to show that you should do this for other people. Not the washing the feet specifically. The point that Jesus was making is that as Christians, we should be willing to serve others, regardless of how menial or how far that task might be below us. We still serve other people willingly, joyfully. Jesus served his disciples here by washing their feet. He did the worst job. And as Christians, we follow his example and we serve other people, doing whatever the job happens to be, because we love others. That's a hard thing for us to accept. You know, we have dignity and we have pride, and that those things are fine. But we also have love, and love is the most important of the attributes that we have as Christians, and it is that love that leads us to serve others. So many of the usages of the word love, especially in the scriptures, and when they refer to God, is that agape love. That agape love concept is a love of self-sacrifice. It's a love of service. It's a love that puts other people's needs before our own. And that's really what Jesus is illustrating here for his disciples, that they should put the needs of others before their own and be willing to love and serve others, even if it might mean stooping down, literally in this case, to do something that we don't enjoy. But what an opportunity it is for us to serve others. And in that service, we may also have the opportunity to share the love of Christ with them, to share the gospel with them, and just to support them and be there for people who need us. Well, that's what we had today. That's what I had to talk about today. Just talking about service and how Jesus encourages us to be willing servants of others. Our reading tomorrow, we'll pick it up at verse 21, and we'll go through verse 32. It's a pretty short section. Jesus predicts his betrayal, and the disciples ask him who it is, and we have that. So we'll be looking forward to that tomorrow. Again, thank you for watching today. Feel free to leave your comments and your likes. Even though I'm not going to be able to respond because this is pre-recorded, I'd still love to hear from you and see what you have to say. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for our next installment of Let's Read Together. Thanks.